Hello my dear students. Welcome once again in my channel Physics by SK Vasist. Students, as you know that we were discussing the applications of Gauss law in our previous lectures. Okay. Today we are going to start our lecture number 11 of chapter Electrostatics. Okay. Of class 12. In which we are going to discuss the second application of the Gauss law. Okay. Which is to find the electric field due to an infinitely large uniformly charged plane sheet. My dear students, what we are going to do is that we are going to find the electric field due to an infinitely large uniformly charged plane sheet. We have already discussed that what does the term infinitely large means. Okay, in the last lecture we studied that if infinitely long straight wire is there, what does it mean? It means that the position of the point where we have to find the electric field is much smaller than the dimensions of the wire. Only then the wire is said to be that it is infinitely long. Okay, it doesn't mean that the wire is going to that high and that low. Okay, infinitely long wire means only that the position of the point where we had to find the electric field was much smaller as compared to the dimensions of the wire. Okay, in the similar manner, my dear students, we have to find the electric field at a particular point due to this infinitely charged plane sheet which is uniformly charged. What does this infinitely large plane sheet mean? It means that if we have to find the electric field at point P, then the position of the point P, the distance of the point P from the sheet is much smaller as compared to the size of the sheet. Only then we say that the sheet is infinitely large. Okay. Now coming to the point that how will we do that, sir? Okay, the question arises in our mind that, sir, how can we do that? Let's try to understand. Okay, since we are going to use the Gauss law, what are the things which require the most? What are the things which we require? The first thing, sir, that there should be a closed Gaussian surface. Okay, then by using the Gauss law, we find the flux over there, and by the concept of electric flux, we also find the flux. And by equating both of them, we used to calculate the electric field. If you remember in the last class, okay, then what we are going to do in this? Definitely we are going to do the same. Now the question arises in our mind that how can we assume the Gaussian surface over there? In the last class we said that it was the straight charged wire, and since its electric field was cylindrically symmetric, therefore we assume the cylindrical Gaussian surface, okay, including the particular section of the wire. Then what type of Gaussian surface should we consider over here? Okay, that is the first thing what we have to do. Okay, let us consider some of the parameters. What is the important thing that is given? That let us assume that let the surface charge density of the sheet is sigma. The surface charge density of the sheet is sigma. That is definitely sigma should be Q upon A. That is, what is the charge on the unit area of the sheet? What is the charge on the unit area of the sheet? The answer is sigma. Sir, that the charge on the unit area of the sheet is sigma. That is the surface charge density. Now, how can we assume the Gaussian surface? Okay, let me take an example. You will get a clear concept. If this is the sheet, okay, this is the sheet in our hand, the uniformly charged large plane sheet. Okay, if we pierce a cylinder just like this, crossing the sheet from the middle, do you think that this cylindrical surface is enclosing some section of the sheet inside it? which should be equivalent to it. Okay, if this portion of the sheet is enclosed inside the cylinder which is containing some charge, can that be considered as the charge enclosed inside this cylinder? Okay, then can we assume this cylinder as the Gaussian surface? Just think, if this is the sheet, if we cross a cylinder like this, if we assume a closed cylindrical surface like this, then can this cylindrical surface be assumed as the Gaussian surface enclosing a particular section of the sheet having some amount of charge? And if we consider that cylindrical surface as the Gaussian surface and find the flux associated with it, and then use the same concept as we did in the previous class, can we find the amount of electric field at that point or not? Definitely we can. Let's try to understand. First we consider the Gaussian surface. I am going to draw the figure. Have a look. Look, my dear students, I have drawn the Gaussian surface just like the figure that I was trying to make you understand, that if we consider this cylindrical Gaussian surface, if we consider this cylindrical closed surface which is just piercing the sheet of the paper, okay, which is just piercing the charged plane sheet, that can be considered as a Gaussian surface like this, then what is the amount of flux associated with this surface? How can we find that? So sir, first we can do that, we can just consider the areas possible over there. What are the surface areas from which we can link the electric field to find the amount of electric flux? What are the areas? Can we consider this as area A1? Definitely. Can we consider this as area A2? Okay. And the third one is the curved surface, that as area A3. Okay. If this is the cylindrical Gaussian surface which we are assuming, this should be A1, this is A2, and the whole curved surface can be A3. Okay. If we find the flux associated with this A1, this A2 and this A3, and find the sum of all the electric flux, phi 1 from the A1 area, phi 2 from the area A2, and phi 3 from the area A3, then if we find the sum of phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3, can we get the total amount of flux associated with the surface? Definitely yes. Yes, we can find. Okay. And we find the amount of flux by using the concept of electric flux. And after that, we will find the same flux by using Gauss law. And equating both of them, we will get the amount of electric field at that point or not. Okay. Now, the thing which will add, that if the position of the point P is at a distance r from the sheet, at a distance r from the sheet. Okay. Now, what about the direction of electric field due to the sheet? At this point, for this surface, the direction of the electric field vector is like this, vector E. The area vector, something like this. Area vector for this curved surface in this direction, but the electric field vector is just like this. For this surface, the electric field is like this, and the area vector already shown. What about the theta in the various cases? If we assume this, what about theta? Is it 90 degree or not? For this, what about theta? Is it 0 degree or not? For this, what about theta? Is it 0 degree or not? Yes. Okay. Can we find the flux in three cases or not? For A1, flux associated with A2 and flux associated with A3. Then definitely we can write phi net, means the total flux associated with the Gaussian surface should be equal to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. Is that clear? Yes sir. What about the values of phi 3? What about the value of phi 3? So definitely, since theta is 90 degree and cos 90 gives 0, what about the value of phi 3? Definitely 0. Then the value of net flux becomes phi 1 plus phi 2. Is that clear? Okay. Now, if definitely the cylinder is uniform, okay, so what about this area and this area? Sir, same. Same or not? Same or not? Yes sir, it is same. Can we let it as A and A? If this area is A, if this area is A, what about the value of phi 1 and phi 2? Is this E into A or E into A? Is that clear or not? Why? Because of theta is 0 degree and cos 0 becomes 1. EA cos 0. EA cos 0. Cos 0 is equal to 1. Therefore, the total flux becomes phi net is equal to 2EA. This is our equation number 1. This is our equation 1. Now, this was the total flux associated with the Gaussian surface by using the concept of electric flux. Now we find the electric flux by using the Gauss law. Okay. Now what we write? By using Gauss law. What about the total flux? By using Gauss law, what does the Gauss law state? Do you remember or not? Do you remember or not? What does the Gauss law state? Gauss law states that the total flux associated with a closed surface is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed inside the surface. That is, phi net should be equal to Q enclosed divided by epsilon naught. Now, look carefully. What is the portion of the sheet enclosed inside the cylinder? Is this the portion or not? Yes, because if this was piercing the sheet, so this portion means equivalent to its cross-sectional area is enclosed inside the cylinder, and if this area is A, what about the area enclosed inside the cylinder? That is also A. Okay. We have already known that charge per unit area of the sheet is sigma, that is charge on a unit area. If a unit area have charge sigma, what about the charge on area A? Definitely it should be sigma into A. Simple, by using the unitary method, that is the enclosed charge is equal to sigma into A. Can we put it over there? Okay. So what happens? The net flux associated with the surface, that is sigma into A divided by epsilon naught. Now the last part of the section, that we have to equate both the flux, because in both the cases we have just calculated the total amount of flux associated with the surface just by using two different methods. One by using the Gauss law and second by using the concept of electric flux. The last portion of the derivation is that equating 1 and 2. Equating 1 and 2. If we equate both of them, what do we get? Have a look. 2EA should be equal to sigma into A divided by epsilon naught. What are the things which gets cancelled? A cancels A and we get what? We get E equals sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught. This is the total electric field at the point P due to this charge sheet. My dear students, if we see the expression carefully, then we find that the equation is not containing the length r. The equation is not consisting the length r. Means the amount of electric field is totally independent of r. Is that clear or not? The amount of electric field is totally independent of the length r. Means the position of the point where we have to find the electric field due to this charge sheet doesn't matter at all. Okay? Means if we go at this distance, that distance, that distance, definitely the electric field is going to be same. Why? Because sir, it is totally independent of the distance of that particular point from the charge sheet. Is that clear? Hope you got this. This is the final expression for the electric field at a point due to an infinitely large uniformly charged plane sheet. This is the final expression which shows that the position of the point doesn't matter for the magnitude of electric field. Hope you got this. In the next lecture, we will study the third application. Okay. Until then, study, study and study. Okay. Goodbye. Thank you.